In the shadowed annals of horror, David Herman Allen, November 18, 1905, October 30th, 1942, emerges as a chilling specter, an American serial killer whose blood-soaked legacy culminated in the grotesque 1942 slaughter of his own kin, mere years after slithering free from a prison sentence for a prior murder. Convicted and condemned, his soul was claimed by the gas chamber's suffocating embrace that same year, but not before he left a trail of terror etched into the heart of Benson, North Carolina. The first bloodletting in the late 1920s, Allen lurked in the quiet decay of Benson, a lumberyard laborer bound to his wife and infant child. Their home, a fragile veneer of normalcy, was defiled when they welcomed Handy Minson Hodges, a 50-year-old lodger with a serpent's charm, into their midst. Employed at a local grocery, Hodges wove himself into the Allen household, his false piety cloaking sinister intent as he lingered with Mrs. Allen, whispering of scripture and typewriter keys. On the witching hour of August 6, 1930, Allen was roused by his child's wail, only to find his bed cold and empty. A gnawing dread drove him into the night, his footsteps heavy in the backyard's gloom. Peering through Hodges's window, his world shattered. There, tangled in betrayal, were his wife and the lodger. Heart pounding with rage, Allen confronted her, her denials crumbling into a confession that burned like acid. In the pre-dawn haze, madness took hold. Borrowing a double-barreled shotgun from an unsuspecting neighbor, he stormed Hodges' room. The lodger's admission of guilt was his death knell. Allen's wrath erupted in fire and lead, bullets tearing through Hodges' flesh as he crumpled, begging for mercy that never came. A final shot to the chest silenced him forever. Drenched in the aftermath, Allen staggered to his workplace, muttering for a doctor, then surrendered to a deputy sheriff with a hollow confession. Jailed and interrogated, he spat his motive. Hodges had defiled his home. Tried and convicted, Allen was sentenced to 20 years, yet the prison's grip was weak. After a mere 4 years, the predator was unleashed, returning to Benson like a curse unbroken. The triple slaughter freed, Allen bound himself to 26-year-old Ruth May Lee, their union a fragile mask over his festering paranoia. For years they tended to aging parents, but suspicion gnawed at Allen's mind, whispering that Ruth was entangled with a neighbor, Cap Rayner. On the frigid morning of January 15, 1942, his demons roared. Clutching a 16-gauge shotgun, Allen descended on Rayner's home, his voice a venomous lure calling Rayner to the porch. A blast shattered the dawn, Rayner collapsing in a crimson heap. Reloading with methodical malice, Allen fired again, snuffing out his rival's life. The rampage surged onward. At his mother-in-law's house, Allen unleashed hell through the windows, bullets finding his 26-year-old brother-in-law, Grady Lee, who fell in agony. Storming inside, Allen seized Ruth by the hair, dragging her screaming to a nearby barn. There, in the shadow of splintered wood, he pressed the barrel to the back of her skull and fired, her body slumping lifeless. As neighbors' cries summoned the law, Allen was caught rifling through his home, his hands still warm with blood. Grady, mortally wounded, lingered in torment at Johnston County Hospital, his life ebbing away 2 days later. The reckoning arraigned for 3 counts of first-degree murder. Allen's attorneys spun a feeble tale of temporary insanity, but his claims of drunken amnesia crumbled under scrutiny. The court's judgment was merciless. Guilty of Grady Lee's murder, sentenced to death. Appeals to the North Carolina Supreme Court were futile, the gavel's echo sealing his fate. On October 30th, 1942, the gas chamber at Central Prison yawned wide. Allen, strapped into its iron embrace, faced his end alongside Otis Harris, a 17-year-old condemned for rape. Defiant to the last, Allen hissed his innocence, claiming intoxication and victimhood. His final words, laced with eerie calm, drifted into the chamber's fog. "I am ready to go. I do not dread it. There is a better world for me. I have had a sad life, but that is over now. I have experienced God in my soul. I am glad to leave this world of sin." As the gas curled around him, the killer's eyes dimmed, but the terror he wrought lingered like a stain on Benson's soul.